Welcome to These Nuts Garage, and today old Phil's going to be getting him a new stereo. Now, like I said in the intro, what we're going to be doing today in this video is installing a new stereo in old Phil here. Now, the stereo we're going to be installing is a Pioneer AVH-120BT, and the BT is for Bluetooth. Now, I'll give you a quick rundown of this radio here in a minute. It's fixing to start raining, so we've got to get in the shop over here. But this is basically going to be the radio. I think it has a CD player, DVD player, touchscreen, has a USB plug on the front. It's going to be perfect for what I'm going to be using it for. We also have a pretty cool Alpha Defense bullet antenna we're going to be putting on here as well. And then here recently we hit our 2,300 subscriber mark, and we're going to be announcing the winner of this Amsoil prize pack back here, sponsored by Eagle Lubricants out of Russ, Texas. So we'll be getting to that here somewhere in the video. I'm not going to tell you where. You'll just have to watch to find out who the lucky winner of this is. So let's get out of the rain, get the truck in there, and we'll do an unboxing on the radio and the antenna and show you some future things that I'm going to be putting in the truck. All right, so first off, let's talk about this AVH-120 Bluetooth. Now, this is a Pioneer radio. I did buy this at Walmart. At the time, I think it was around 1st of December. It's basically Bluetooth to your phone. It's got the USB plug on the front of it. It says 50 watts times 4 7-band equalizer. I think you can actually get a controller where you can work the controls from your factory steering wheel accessories, I guess. It says it's got 2 preamps. Now, I've had another radio that was similar to this that I had in my 99 F150. Basically, the installation is kind of similar, but what I'm going to do is I've had a lot of questions on that video about installing them in these trucks. This is a double DIN radio, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But this is the plug that we're going to be using. Instructions, some extra screws, and for what I don't know. Let's take it out of the box real quick. Sorry if I sound congested, but I've been sick probably ever since after Christmas, so bear with me. Now, a double DIN radio is really big and fat. This is a true double DIN radio, and the problem with these going into these Ford trucks is they don't like going in there the way the dash is inside of the vehicle. I'll show you a factory radio when we pull this one out compared to this one, and we have to do a few modifications on the inside of the truck, back inside the dash, and that's going to be for your Expeditions, your F150s, any of these style trucks. If you're going to put in a double DIN like this that has a CD player or a DVD, you're probably going to have to cut the inside of the dash. It's not a hard job, especially if you have a multi-tool, which I'm going to be using today. You can knock it out in no time and not have to worry with it too much. So basically, this is the front of the radio. Like I said, this right here is your CD player. It has a USB plug right here, all of your functions here. This one does not have a remote. The one I put in my 99 model truck had a remote control. I used the remote control quite a bit just because, you know, you're lazy and don't want to reach up and hit the screen or something. I just didn't like messing up my screen on my radio and getting my fingerprints all over it. Now, for this truck, we're going to be needing, this is a Metra Universal. Well, it's not universal, it's specifically for this truck, but this is a wiring harness right here, and the number is 705600. And basically what we're going to do is, this is the aftermarket wiring harness. We're going to wire these together. This will plug into the radio. These plugs here will plug into the factory plugs on the dash. I've said this more than once. Never cut your factory wiring in your truck to install an aftermarket radio unless there's just some reason why they don't make one of these kits. These are usually 10 bucks. If you buy them from Sonic Electronics, a lot of times they'll send you this stuff for free. The next thing we're going to be using is a Metra 955818 dash kit to install this radio. This is for a double DIN. I also have one here for the same year model, but for a single DIN radio. We're not going to be using this unless you was installing a single DIN. I accidentally ordered this ordered it by accident, so I have this one, and this is the one we're going to be installing. Alrighty, one more thing that we're going to be installing today is this Alpha Defense bullet antenna. I don't ever listen to regular radio very much anymore. I usually stream on my phone, or I listen to Pandora, iTunes, you know, all these different streaming services that you can listen to music on. So I really don't need an antenna that much, so I wanted to replace it with this Alpha Defense. This is a 50 caliber bullet. It also has the blue tip, and being that field back here used to be a police unit, I kind of got the blue tip, you know, for the back to police kind of thing. So we're going to be installing this as well. Now let's talk about, real quick, future plans for the truck. Now this right here is a factory subwoofer box that come out of about the same year Eddie Bauer had an 8-inch sub in it. Subwoofer was completely dry rotted and gone. So what I did was I bought this, I guess this is a Scar Audio. This is an 8-inch subwoofer. It's a little too deep for this box, and you can see that's why I drilled this hole, because the way this box went back up in. But what I'm going to do is kind of sand all this up. I'll kind of fill it full of some fiberglass or do something to make the sub where that seals up. But I'm going to be installing this in the truck at a later date. I'm not going to be doing that in this video. I'm trying to break this up. But this right here is a future video coming up, installing the subwoofer. And also what I'm going to be running this subwoofer is this Pioneer, I guess this is a GM E360X4 4-channel amp. And probably what I'm going to do is I think I can make it run mono and to throw a certain amount of wattage to this sub. It says it's a 300 RMS sub, 150 RMS as well. So I'm going to be using this amp with this sub and installing this somewhere in the truck. This is a very large amp, and I got to figure out somewhere to be able to mount it in this truck and it not be really seen or in the way. I bought this Metra amp kit at Walmart. It says up to 1500 watts. This is a 1000 watt amp, and I'm not going to be pushing that much, so we'll be using that at a later date as well. So that's all of the stuff that's going to be going in the future, is the amp and the sub and the box and the wiring harness. But what we'll do now is we'll get over here, get the truck pulled in, and we'll pull the old radio out, and I'll show you that real quick, and then we'll pull, I'll show you the difference between the double DIN and the factory radio that come in these trucks. All right, so here's our radio, our factory radio, and what we got to do is pull this bezel off. Now pay attention when you're removing these bezel, because like over here you have a 4-wheel drive switch, and some of your vehicles may have a airbag light and key switch here. So really pay attention. There's really no special tools to use. I mean, you could use a little, I just like to get my fingers in behind it and just ease them around like that. Now remember, when you're working on these vehicles, they are old, so these stuff can be brittle, especially like down here. All right, so it just pops right out. Now wherever we had our switches, we're going to have to unplug them. So now we've removed our bezel from the front. Now another thing, if you're watching this video and you're putting this in an F150 or Expedition, some of them have a little bar that goes across. You should be okay reinstalling this radio with either bezel. It should work just fine, so don't think you have to cut those out if you have it. Now what we're going to do to remove the radio right here are these special tools right here. You can get these at Walmart, AutoZone, just about anywhere that sells radios. They're going to have these Ford removal tools, and basically you have 2 holes on each side of the radio. You're just going to pop these in like that. They kind of springy. Lock them in, then pull out like that. You pull each one of them out and the radio will slide right out. Once again, we have our plugs in the back. We want to unplug these here. And our radio is removed from the vehicle. Now let's go in here and I'll show you the difference between this radio, if you can't already tell, and the radio we're going to be installing. All right, so here's the factory radio, and as you can see, it kind of has this slight angle on it like that. And this is what causes a problem when you're trying to install a double DIN radio like this, because as you can see, one's bigger than the other. Now the way the dash is made in the truck, there's like a little plastic bracket that comes down at an angle like this, and then this hooks into it and it keeps the radio sturdy. Well, what we have to do, and what causes part of the problem, is that when you go to install this radio, what's happening is this back of this radio is hitting that plastic bracket, and it will not let the radio fully seat inside the dash. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting part of that plastic bracket out. Now, you could go back, I guess, if you wanted to, and install a factory radio in your truck. Maybe you was selling it or something. And I think it would still hold pretty good because it does have these locking tabs on both sides. So I don't think you're doing something that's going to prevent you from ever installing another factory radio. But if you got this in there, why would you? $100 radio in a truck like that, if you went to sell it, it's going to probably give you $200 or $300 worth of value in the truck over the factory radio, because this is a nice radio and it's already been installed. So depending upon your radio, you know, this is 120 bucks, $200 or $300 value into your truck. So why would you want to take it out? So I want to grab this tool. We're going to jump back in the truck and I'm going to show you how we're going to cut this part of the dash out and what tool we'll be using. All right, so we're back inside the truck, and these are the plugs for the radio, and I'm going to use this pin here to kind of show you what I'm talking about, this right here. These are the plugs that go into the back of the radio. We're going to pull these down here to the side like this, kind of shove them off in here like that. Now you have this wire that runs back here. We also have this wire here. This is your power antenna wire. We're going to kind of pull it down and out of the way as well. And then, like I said, you have this wire. We're going to kind of try to push it down out of the way, just so for the sake of you being able to see what I'm going to be cutting. Now, this plate right here is flat. We could probably leave it inside the truck, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my multi-tool that I'm going to show you here in a minute, and I'm going to cut across the bottom line right there, and then I'm going to come up probably on this side, and I'm going to cut across this line. Same thing over here. There's another line across this way. And I'm going to get so far up, and then I'm going to cut straight across. I'm going to open all that up with this multi-tool. And basically what a multi-tool is this. This is a DeWalt 20-volt multi-tool. They're made for like doing trim in your house and a whole lot of other things you can do. But basically it'll cut a straight line across, and I can get this tool in here to cut all of this stuff as best as I can and get that removed. Now in my 99, what I did use was like a little hacksaw blade, and it kind of took a while, and this right here is going to make light work of it. So let's get started. Yeah, like I said, this is the multi-tool we're going to be using. It is cordless. The model number is DCS356. So basically it just cuts side to side. So like I said, I'm going to go in the very back here and cut this very bottom. It's going to be hard for you to see, but you know kind of what I'm doing. Move all my wires out of the way. Sorry if my head's in the way here, but alrighty. And there we go. We've got the piece out that we need to be able to slide our factory doubled in, I mean not our factory, but our aftermarket doubled in radio into the truck. You can see how quick that tool took care of this, cutting this out. Before, it took me about 30 minutes or so just to get it cut out with some small little hacksaw blade. So let's jump back inside and we'll go over the wiring of the radio and get ready to install it. Alrighty, so let's talk about the wiring harness from the factory harness in the truck to the aftermarket radio. Now, when you buy this aftermarket radio, it will come with a set of wires. And when you buy your harness kit to plug into your factory harness in your vehicle, it's dependent upon the kit, depending upon the plugs and how many plugs you have. Now, with these kits, they're pretty much universally designed to work together. All aftermarket radio companies have the same wiring diagrams and color code for their speakers, and so does your harnesses. When you buy an aftermarket radio harness, they're all color coded to kind of match the aftermarket radio wires. So that way it makes it simple to install. So now on the back of this wire, this is going to be from plugging into the factory harness of the truck. We have yellow, which is a constant wire, red ignition, orange is illumination for when you turn your lights up and down, black is a ground, you have a blue with a white stripe. One of those is a remote, and then the other one is a power antenna. Back in the day, they just used to have one blue wire, and that was for a power antenna, but cars have changed now. So, and then the second plug, you have purple, green, gray, and white. These are your speaker wires. Now, each one of these wires, one is solid. You have a solid purple wire and a purple wire with a black stripe. And when you look at your harness from your aftermarket radio, there will be a purple wire with a black stripe and a solid purple wire. All of these, like I said, match up as far as the colors. All you got to do is figure out how you want to connect them. Do you want to solder them together? You can do that. Heat shrink them. You can maybe you want to like duct tape. You can do that if you want to. You're going to have problems in the future. You can use little crimps and then heat them up and melt them together, and that's what I'm going to be using. Basically, little red crimps. You put it on there, crimp down the other side, and hit it with a little blowtorch, and it melts it down and makes it good. And that's what I'm going to be doing today with mine, is using the little red crimps. You can choose however you want to do yours. I'm going to get started on this so we can get these two harnesses together, and then we'll be able to jump in the truck real quick and install the radio inside the dash. Alrighty, so we have our harness done. I've got all my little wiring clips done. This green wire is for your power, like your emergency brake. And what this is for your the DVD player. So when you have it in your car, I think the way you have to set this is so that way when you pull your emergency brake up, it does something with the radio and it allows the DVD player to play, so that way you don't watch movies going down the road. Now, you can bypass this and have it screen share with your phone. Whatever's on your phone will show on there, but that was in another video. But I just left this out just in case I needed it. This little blue wire right here with a little black flag on it, that's my amp out. So that way when I install my amp later on, I'll be able to pull this harness back out, tap into this, and I don't have to break this harness apart. Now I've got some loom on it and some black Gorilla tape just to kind of hold it into place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my dash kit and I'll go out here to the truck and start installing the radio actually in the truck. All right, so now we want to install our doubled in radio into this hole in this Ford Expedition or F150. Now, the radio we're going to be installing, like I said, this Pioneer radio, and we're going to be looking at the back. Now, if you start from the left, if looking at the back, you're going to have, this is going to be an RCA, like for a backup camera. This right here is going to be like a headphone jack, auxiliary input. These are your inputs for your rear. This, I guess the left side would be your subwoofer, and this will be your front. Then moving on over here, this is going to be your plug here that goes in there from the wiring harness. This is going to be a Bluetooth input, and this is going to be your antenna. So now if we go to install this radio in this hole, guess what? It doesn't fit because the factory hole here is too small. So what we need to do is in this Meta kit, dash harness kit, it's 955818. What it did is it came with these little dash trim pieces. This one kind of can tell, it looks like two little hearts, or a heart right here, maybe a, well, that's not a heart, but this little thing. We're not going to be using that one. We're actually going to be using the other one over here, and you can kind of see it the way it is. It's just, they both drop down and they have the holes. So what we're going to do for that is use this as a pattern, because we're going to have to cut this part of the dash out again, just like we did inside the dash. So I'm going to use my specialty ratchet and socket. For some reason, I cannot find any of my ratchets. They're all gone out of my toolkit. So, don't know. Maybe somebody just stole my ratchets, or I just set them down somewhere. All right. And basically what I did is I removed these two top screws out of your heating air controllers. And basically this is going to go in there like that. On each side, it'll drop down like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically just trying to get this as a template for where I need to cut out. So as you can see, maybe you can't, there's a little hole in the center. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut straight across just below this hole and then up. Once again, we're going to be using this tool here. This is a lifesaver. And that seems to be pretty deep. So with this saw, it's going way back in there. So as you can see how deep that actually was, and that saw will just go straight back and cut that out. So I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit. And now our radio should slide in there. Maybe I need to take just a little bit more off of this corner. Going to kind of test fit it again. Now what I'm running into is still this upper piece of this inside of this dash. It looks like I'm going to have to cut up even some more than what I originally did. So I'm going to have to go somewhere up in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all this cut out the way it needs to be and spare you the time. And I'll be right back. All right, so initially I cut out this piece from inside the dash. Well, as I tried to fit this radio, it requires a little bit more cutting. This is what makes some people nervous when you get into all this cutting, but it's an old truck, so it'll be okay. So once this is in the dash like this, I had to go back in and cut this extra piece off because you can see this is kind of slanted. I don't know, maybe if you can or not when it's sitting level. It's slanted. So I had to go back in and cut this extra piece off. And what you need to do is get as close on the back side of this as you can all the way across, which is what I did here. Cut it out. And then you'll have to have one of these multi-tools because right up here is a control module of some sort. And what that's going to do is prevent you from trying to use some hand saw to get through there. So you probably can pick up one of these multi-tools from Harbor Freight for hardly nothing. Even if it's corded, that'll be just fine. So we've cut out basically through the middle of this hole all the way across. Cut out this gray plastic is back up here as far as we can. And then something else that I had to do was I had to cut this piece out. And basically it fits like right here. I had to cut that out because what I have to do is the radio has to sit down far enough in the dash to have this trim piece on it. Like this. Once we get the trim piece on it, and when you fit it in there, that trim piece has to line up with the two holes for the bolts. So that way it holds the front of the radio in place. So now what we have to do is we have to install what I call our sides or our wings to the side of the radio to get the correct depth. And that's going to be, you know, done something like that. So those extra screws we had in the pack with the radio, we're going to be using those. And what I'll do is I'll figure out the depth that we need. And once I do that, I'll come back and I'll show you which holes to put them in. Okay, so here's one side of the radio. I don't know if you can see it very well, but you kind of have this part of this, I'll call it the side that sticks out. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to be installing the screw here at the top right. And basically it's going to go something like this. We're going to push this plate as far forward in this hole. And I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to hold this and get lined up with the camera. I don't have a camera crew like some folk do. So basically this is what we have, and here's our screw we put in. We got our screw in, and we're going to push the plate as far forward as we can. And then we're going to come down here and put a screw, and then right in the back put a screw. So that way when we push this radio inside this dash, it's going to lock into it. Like I said, I'm sorry I don't have somebody to hold my camera for me. All right, so as you can see, both sides are lined up. And we're going to basically go ahead and pull our wires back up, get them ready to plug in. These plugs will only plug in one way. They're not going to plug into the wrong hole. And then what we're going to do is try to install these down in the dash a little bit, so that way when we slide our radio in, it's not sticking on them. We don't want them to be holding the radio up, because we want that radio to go all the way back. Well, wish us luck. Let's see if it'll go all the way in there like it should. All right, so it's all the way in flush. What we're going to do is take our trim piece, fit it around the face plate of the radio, and we kind of want to, may have to push the radio down to get it lined up just right with our holes for our bolts. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of get the bolts lightly started, and then I'm gonna adjust this radio into its final position, because I think I have to push this side down a little bit. Alrighty. it right there. Alrighty, so I got my trim piece adjusted where it needs to be. All we have to do now is basically just go ahead and reinstall our bezel, our radio bezel. And what I did was, this top piece kept wanting to kind of slide out away from the top. I wish there was a better design for that. Maybe it'd have a little clip up here where you could screw it into that or something. Maybe whoever this dash kit was made by, maybe they'll come up with something for right there. But probably the best thing to do, and is what I did, is before I pulled the radio back out, and what I would suggest is before you put the radio in, kind of do a test fit where you know these need to be, but pull the radio back out. And what I did is I took a little bit of Gorilla Tape and kind of stuck to the top part of this plastic trim and just taped it to the top of the radio. And what that did is it's keeping this trim piece from trying to pop out. Nothing major, but that's what I did to solve that problem. So here's our radio bezel, and what we're going to do is just plug this is our 4-wheel drive switch. We're going to plug this back in. And I'm just going to easily snap this back into place. And there we go. Now, one thing about this, I guess when you look at it now, this bezel is actually pressing against this trim piece behind it, so it's keeping it pushed back. So it's not going to pop out while you're going down the road or anything. It just, that tape just keeps that, now I'll say this trim piece back where it needs to be before you put your bezel on it. What I'm going to do now is just kind of start the truck up. We will let the radio boot up. Just kind of run through it real quick. Volume up and down. This is your home screen. Mute. This right here is for your USB. If you want to go to set your clock, just hit the time, and then we'll just put in, I guess this is the date, which is 3/6/22. Our time is just like that. It's really easy to work. We also have our EQ, which I guess I'm not playing anything. It's trying to connect to my turn that down before we get demonetized. But you can kind of see your pre-stations, presets, all that. Hit EQ. You can go and pick super bass, powerful, natural, vocal. It's, you know, it's got 7 different ones you can pick. We'll go with natural maybe. And it's got a lot of other, you know, DVD setup features. Your background, you can change it to whatever, you know, like that or this. Or you can turn it off. You have your theme and color. This truck, the dash lights up green, so we can do it in green. So now we have that, you know, kind of matches. Of course, this is blue. Makes a lot of sense. But it's basically Bluetooth. It's already hooked up to my phone, so I can use it for that. But that's basically going to be the install on this radio. I'm going to jump out there and install my antenna and announce the winner of that AMSOIL prize pack. All right, so we're going to be installing this Alpha Defense 50 caliber bullet. This is right here. Kind of got the blue tip, like I said, because of the truck used to be a police vehicle. So in this kit, you get a bunch of little brass screw fittings, and you get 3 different bottom pieces of the bullet. So it goes screws on like that. So you have to kind of figure out the combination of the one that you need. And first you have to remove your old antenna. And basically what you need to do is look at this. On these forwards, you can see against my shirt, this shaft is kind of smooth and it's threaded, so it goes way down inside of this before it screws in there. So basically this was one of the brass fittings that came with it. So if you flip this upside down like this, you can kind of see they're about the same length, and it just fits down in there like that. Now what I'm going to do is I've already kind of test fitted it or like that, and you can see it'll just screw right on there. I kind of wish that was set down a little more, but I guess it is what it is. I'm gonna take a pair of pliers and kind of turn that a little bit, make it where it's getting a good snug fit. Now, a few months ago, or a month or so ago, we hit 2,000 subscribers, and I said when we hit 2,300 subscribers, we would do an AMSOIL giveaway, and that's what I'm gonna do now. Right here, I'm gonna put the name of the person that won this prize pack. Well, all you had to do was just go into the comment section of that video and give a positive comment on the video, and that's all you had to do. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on that video here in couple of minutes when I get this truck put back together, and I'm going to go to that person who commented. I'm going to notify them that they won and that they can send me a message, and I'll send this package out to them as soon as they give me their name and I can get to the post office to mail it out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make an official. When we hit 3,000 subscribers, we'll do another giveaway, and I'm not going to announce what the prize pack will be now because I don't really know, but I got an idea of something. So if you want to get in that drawing, just comment down below, make a good comment on this video. And when we hit 3,000 subscribers, I'll go back in this video or maybe a couple other ones and choose one person at random to be the winner of a 3,000 subscriber prize pack. So back to this antenna. We got the shaft in there. We're going to put this little, I guess this is a little like top hat or something. Screw it down. I mean, I wish that had just, you know, I guess you could go like that. I mean, what do y'all think looks better? I think this is supposed to be deeper so it covers that, but I don't know. Well, we'll put it the way it says on the package. It says use this little thing. So we'll screw it down. I can get it going. I guess if you use the right one, it works great. So I'm just gonna kind of tighten that up a little bit. Try not to scratch the thing. I guess I could put a piece of cloth on there and it would really be better than what I'm doing. So there's that. And I can see what we can do too. All right, so now that we have our bullet on there, I'm gonna turn this to where the name Alpha Defense Company is out like that, so I can represent. So Alpha Defense Company right there. So that's going to be about the end of this video. I'm going to get out of here and clean up my truck and get everything put away before it gets dark on me. So if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the installation of this truck, the radios in these trucks, I suggest go on our Facebook group, These Nuts Garage, because I can communicate directly with you more. If you have a question, you can send a video, or I can send a video back trying to explain kind of installing these things, because when you have to, it's not an exact double DIN size radio, so you have to modify it. And I think a lot of people who want to upgrade these trucks, they always kind of veer back to the double DIN because it's a little complicated to install these radios in these trucks because of the making that hole bigger and having a tool that can get in there and cut that plastic out properly. So if you have a question, go to Facebook, check us out on These Nuts Garage, send a request to join, and I'll let you in there, and then you can communicate directly to me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm gonna be trying to make some more videos. If y'all didn't notice when the first of the video come on, I've been working on this house since a little after Christmas, and then I got sick. I got COVID, got that, and then I've just been working and traveling and doing everything that we normally do in our lives. It's just been really busy. We're just trying to get videos out. It's just been hard here lately to do so, but I'll get back to doing some other stuff. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below. It helps grow the channel. The bigger the channel is, the more things that I can do, because the YouTube revenue will get stronger and bigger. So that's it. I'm going to get out of here, enough rambling on. So I'll see y'all in the next video, and y'all have a blessed day.